Welcome to another episode of Simon Says, where facts come first. I'm your host, Jenny Simon. And today, before we get into the meat of the matter for this week's episode, I just want to touch on a couple of things. First of all, I want to thank all my fans, all the people who follow Simon Says. I met quite a few of you from the diaspora who recognized me. And sometimes from the time I see somebody coming up to me smiling, I know there goes one of my fans. And thank you. Thank you for the motivation. Thank you for viewing and continue to view. The ones here, the Grenadians, oh my God, it's overwhelming. I went to the market on Saturday. I had visiting friends and I took them to the marketplace. And I don't do St. George's City very often. And it was overwhelming, the support, the love, and the variations of persons who look at Simon Says and follow Simon Says. And this is where I want to thank MTV, because loads of people look at Simon Says from MTV, the persons who do not have the access to YouTube and social media on a whole. And so I want to thank MTV for carrying Simon Says, and so that these people can get to see. They see it on Thursdays, some of them on Sundays, some of them watch it both days. And so I'm very, very happy and very proud and very pleased that I'm able to do that for a certain demographic. Well, actually, I've met young people, what we call middle age, and older ones. Everybody's locked in to Simon Says, even the ones who don't want to see, they look. That's funny, right? Yeah. And so thank you all. Those of you who are concerned about my cough, cold, I don't even know what it is for myself. Thank you for caring. It's still there. This is the third episode I'm doing with it, but it's on different phases. I had it last about 5 weeks. Some people been telling me. But so I'm doing better. I'm not hoarse anymore, but the cold is no, it's mucus coming up and so. But thank you for caring as well. I'm dealing with it, but it's not going to stop the price of sugar from going up. No. So we're going to continue. The struggle continues, and I'm going to continue. I also want to speak today about probably why I am where I am. And it's mainly because I'm not a hypocrite. Never was, never will be a hypocrite. And no matter what you say about me, no matter the names you call, I will do what I have to do for the voiceless. I've been doing that almost, a decade and some, right? And I'll continue to do it. But I will not be a hypocrite. So don't try getting me to be one. When you tell me, stop, you being biased, you bashing the, no, I will not. So don't tell me to stop. I'm like bad like a train. You know, when you tell them stop, they do it more. Yeah, I'm going to continue, right? I have been a card-bearing member of the NDC, from the time I joined NDC. And I joined NDC when I got back to Grenada, and the revolutionaries who had fled to imperialism after the revolution and returned. And I'm speaking about the Nazarbergs and Peter Davids and so George Prime. And they joined the NDC. And because I was an old revolutionary myself, although that time I was a child of the revolution. But because it was instilled in me, I naturally followed. It wasn't a matter of following the ideologies of the NNP or the NDC or the GMP or whoever was there at the time when I got back to Grenada in the 90s. It was just because these guys were a part of the NDC, I decided to go with them because I was a child of the revolution. So I did that. And I liked what I saw and heard in the NDC. So as I was saying, I became a card-bearing member from the onset paying my dues. You see, there are those out there who say all sorts of things. They're bad on Facebook. They don't even give a $5 to the party at the end of the month or every month. I paid my dues religiously to the NDC, right? And I didn't only do that. Those of you who know me and know me in the NDC, you know all that I did for the NDC. I never asked for anything. So when I hear that I'm behaving like that because I didn't get what I wanted, I would like to know what I wanted. I really do want to know what I want. If anybody, I'm paying you to tell me what I wanted from NDC, because I gave to NDC when they didn't have. In order to save embarrassment when they got locked out of their office in Tempe, when they couldn't pay the rent, I gave them a space, an office space. You want to know what I did? I closed down my cosmetology school and gave them that space to keep their meetings. The town of St. George constituency used it as well to host, to have their meetings, their constituency branch meetings. I gave them, right? I did the Heartbeat program for 5 years without a dime. Whatever resources was needed for that program, I funded it on my own. They never asked me what I needed for Heartbeat. I got up and went every Sunday religiously. I went on my birthday. I went Easter Sunday. If Christmas fell on a Sunday, I would have been in that studio. Every Sunday. I left the studio sometimes and went wherever the meeting was. If it was in the country, drove from St. George's, from the meeting, from the Heartbeat program, straight to wherever the meeting was. And I did it because I wanted to. I was a part of the party, and I gave it my all, as I do with everything that I'm involved in. I'm not a half-pint person, full gallon, always, right? So I stayed with NDC. I love their vision, And I have with me here the policy agenda. And I also have a manifesto, NDC, right? And I just want to read to you the vision of the NDC. Then it says here, as a result, the NDC established a vision of green, equitable, and prosperous Grenada for all, right? Their values and attitudes, they have 12 core principles. And I'm going to just read them, name them, not go into details here, because we still have a program to do. Acknowledging the supremacy of God. I forget my glasses. I still don't like it. Let me put on my glasses. We'll do better. I'll do much better. Right. Oh, nice and bright. Acknowledging the supremacy of God. Showing patriotism. Demonstrating a high level of personal integrity. Advancing the principles of self-reliance. Right? Number 4. What's number 5? Do I have to put in the page here? Right. Putting people first. Empowering the youth. Education first. Protecting the poor, vulnerable, and disadvantaged. Let me read that one again. Protecting the poor, vulnerable, and disadvantaged. Protecting women and children against violence. I'm going to read that one again, because we have people sitting in our cabinet that goes against this value. Protecting women and children against violence. Recognizing the value of the diasporan community. Oh, that one is, to me, that's all they care about right now, the diaspora. Because they think they're going to make them win the next election, joke they're making. Creating a social partnership, right? Now I want to go read here, brief quickly, in the manifesto. Our vision, an equitable and prosperous Grenada. The NDC vision is a green, equitable, and prosperous Grenada for all, right? Our mission, the NDC mission, is to build a prosperous Grenada based on environmentally sound principles and a just and equitable society. Doesn't that sound wholesome? What else? Our core values. The NDC now re-emphasizes as its core values honesty. Let me say it again. Honesty, integrity, transparency, accountability, self-respect, tolerance, patriotism, equality, justice, and good governance. And good governance. Folks, this is why I became an NDC. This is why I became an NDC. And you see, the putting people first part, I loved it. I loved it. But this is not the NDC I signed up with. Today's NDC, no. And nobody's going to force me or try to make me believe that when I have eyes to see and ears to hear, and my head is not in the sand, ooh, it's up and above, and I can hear and I can see. None of you. So call me names. When I talk about the issues, let's deal with the issues. Tell me and prove to me that anything I say on any of my episodes is incorrect, it's false, it's fake, or lies. Tell me that. And let's have a conversation. But calling me names wouldn't help, because this is not what we're talking about. I had this physique, I had this body when I was with NDC, the same body. You're looking better now, right? And nobody told me about it then. So that me now would make a difference. I love it. God made me in his own likeness, and I love it. I love it, right? So this is why I am where I am today, because I'm not a hypocrite. I have integrity. I'm honest. And I'm going to work by the values, the core values of my NDC, right? So with all of this, I am a professional cosmetologist, a qualified cosmetologist. I'm in the beauty field. I'm in the beauty world. That's what I did. That's my qualifications. Of course, after I went to convent and did the institute, what we call the Technical and Vocational Institute, where I became a stenographer. In them days, we didn't have a computer. So after you finish school and you want to work a good job, you had to become a stenographer as well, learn to type and take shorthand and stuff, where I came up with an A+ and 65 words per minute in shorthand. Yeah? And when I did my cosmetology, I was at the top of my class in Barbados with persons from throughout the Caribbean. A+ again, right? I'm qualified to do that. But this year is my hobby. I'm commentating. And don't get tired. When you say, oh, I'm a political analyst. No, I'm not a political analyst. No, I'm not. I'll be the first to say that. I am not. But I am a political commentator. I followed politics in Grenada from the days of the revolution right up till now. Right? So let's move. The struggle continues, and we take a quick break and come right back to today's episode.
Thank you for tuning in to Simon Says. To ensure that you never miss an episode, click subscribe and make sure to turn on the notifications by clicking on the notification bell icon. See you at the next episode.
Welcome back. Now, during the campaign, the 2022 election campaign, we were told by the NDC, and I want to quote, they had exposure and they know how to find money. At the time I said exposure, there was no one there who had the exposure of being in government or being a politician, really. They were all new to the game. However, can't stop a man from saying what he wants to say. So it was said. As a matter of fact, let's hear for ourselves what they had to say.
So don't worry your head too much about empty treasury. Empty treasury. We in the NDC, we have the exposure. We have had the exposure. Good? And we know what to do to find money, to look after the needs of our people. And as I have the mic, let me say, as we go around the country and we speak to our people, that's a topic that they always say to us, we go pay salary late and we don't know how to run a country. Tell them that we say we know how to run a country and tell them that we wouldn't pay salary late. All right? Tell them that affirmatively. We're not going to pay salary late and we know how to run a country.
In the affirmative. No, I can't laugh a lot today because when I laugh, I cough. So I have to try. This is a stage thing now. So I have to try my best not to laugh a lot, but it's funny. More foot and mouth these days. You know, mouth open, word jump out. The thing is, I agree they know how to find money. But to prioritize how they spend that money is a different story. Because the money is not being spent on the people. And the putting people first thing is a fast. Is putting themselves first. Who will take to raise the pay before 2 years in office? As a matter of fact, just mere weeks, days in office, they take the first pay. And before 2 years, 16, 18 months, a next raise, doubling their salaries. And today, they pass laws. They pass laws to increase minimum wage, and they can't pay the minimum wage to some of their workers. But their pocket full, they make sure they're getting their money. But that's besides the point. So to continue, I'm not doubting, that they can find the money. They can find the money for 500 drones in the sky. They can find the money for hours of fireworks. They can find the money to deface the carnage with lights and have security guarding it in the night. Paying, one of the impromptu security firms, of course, their friends, to guard it at night. But they can't find the money to feed the poor. They can't find the money to save 2-age homes. Right? But we all know that. They're scheming on giving the poor and the vulnerable a little debushing here and there. Right? They want people to volunteer, go and cut the bush by the side of the road. Right? We know how to run a country, and we won't pay salaries late. That turned out to be one of the biggest jokes, because they're paying salary late. And I didn't say anything about the late salaries for a while because it could be a one-off. There are a number of reasons why, to pay salaries late. And I did my own little investigations in the meantime. Of course, this is Simon Says, and we need facts. Right? You won't pay salaries late, and you know how to run a country. That turned out to be a fact. It is the most incompetent bunch that we've ever encountered. I have ever encountered, and I am 50-something, right? The most incompetent, arrogant bunch, right? So salaries late. It's not a one-off. We're heading into the end of February, the last week in February, and we have people complaining that they are yet to get their salary for February. And I'm not talking about hearsay. I'm talking about people who called me, people who inboxed me, people who came to me to say that they have not yet received their salary for February. someone inboxed me to tell me that she is yet to get her salary for February. She said she's an environmental warden. I didn't know what that was. I asked. She said she do the bushing maintenance, trimming of overhanging and the drainage, cleaning the drains, etc. Now, this individual has an adult disabled son in her care to feed. I got a message in my inbox that read, and I'm quoting here: Lord, no pay, sugar bucket empty, no milk. Tell me, we boiling, sun hot, no water. Now, this is quotation, so I ain't leaving out nothing, right? I'm quoting what my lady said. She said, how this government want people to survive, a sick child to feed. Now, there were complaints from persons within different government sectors about late payment of salaries. And of course, some of the ones, on their knees, practically at this point, because these are people who live hand to mouth. You get your salary, you pay a little bills, a little to eat, and you wait for the next one, right? Of course, we know somebody about is going to get thrown under the bus. Let's hear what the Minister of Finance had to say about why there's late payment of salary.
Right. Another thing I wanted to point out, because you'd hear it outside also, is that, oh, well, we didn't get pay on time and there's delays in payment and so on. I'm saying that from the Ministry of Finance standpoint, we want to encourage the finance officers in the various ministries and departments. Do your work and do it on time. If you know something has to happen, don't wait until the 99th hour and then push the blame on the Ministry of Finance, because we have an obligation to verify the information, make sure it is cross-checked before we could print a check. But if, for example, a staff member has an increase in salary to get, and it's coming from the ministry of, let's say, X or Y, and it gets to the treasury and so on, and that increase is not on top of 10 so on, the person may get a short payment. But it's not the Ministry of Finance that pay you short. It's what we get from your ministry and so on, and we verified it. We paid it. So I'm appealing to our finance officers or permanent secretaries, who are the so-called persons that need to make sure they verify that everything that goes from the ministry to the Ministry of Finance is done properly and is without errors. And those persons who are still out there skylarking, I would say, because you need to make sure that you do your work. And if you didn't do your work on time, don't blame the ministry at the end of it, because so many times I've been calling my PS and the Accountant General to verify this and verify that. Sometimes it's not really in the treasury as yet.
Yeah, because in December, I know you had issues with some individuals complaining that they did not get their wages on time.
Yes, but just imagine.
You're saying it's simply because officers did not complete their paperwork in time for processing.
Yes, but again, I must say that the stocks of people that is involved, especially, for example, the debushing people, and so, I believe that we have to find a way at addressing that problem, because, I mean, it's just too much people. And if you have little or no time to basically process all the people, some things will fall through the crack. So as we go forward, we have to find a way of digitalizing those things.
Again, NDC putting the cart before the horse. You didn't know that it was going to be too much paperwork for the workers that was there when you decide you're doing bi-monthly, no matter what. Promise made, promise kept. Not bi-monthly, but bi-weekly, I'm sorry. You didn't realize that, and that you might need more staff to do so. Because it's the same staff that have been preparing salaries for the last decade when the former administration was in office. They didn't have issues with late payments. But this is not just late payments. This is too much payment, underpayment, no payment, back payment, all kind of payment. This is not just late. This is a hot mess that's going on there now. This is a hot mess. Now, it's my understanding, of course, let me say that the public service the public workers, they got flung under the bus here right now. Under the bus full up because under the bus they go, right? Now it's my understanding that the salary preparation used to start from around the 15th of every month. And that is to get ready for the month end payment. You hearing me? The 15th, around the 15th, right? And people and workers got paid around the 25th of the month, what they call the month end, right? Of course, we know what is happening around the 15th now, because they decided to do the bi-weekly. Oh, we're going to pay twice a month so we could have cash flow. If the cash isn't there, you could pay 10 times during the month. It would not make a difference. We do not have the cash flow. So having twice a month payment, bi-weekly payment, not helping. What happens? The people leave their money there. They stay far from the bank until the end of the month, when they have their mortgages and their utility bills and whatever else they do at the end of the month, they still do it at the end of the month. Yeah, there might be one or two who have access. Some people have 2 and 3 jobs, and so they could afford to spend a little more during the month because of the bi-monthly payment. But it is not helping the cash flow situation. We do not have sustainable development taking place on island for that to happen, to materialize. Okay? So they did their bi-monthly, their bi-weekly, because of course promise made, promise kept, and we need something to put on our list of achievements that doesn't belong to the NNP. So this one, even though they were warned against it, and I don't even believe for myself, I'm saying this here, Dr. Mitchell, the former prime minister, did warn against it because it's something they had campaigned on sometime down the road. And maybe they did their investigations, they did their due diligence, they did what they had to do and realized it's going to be an issue and it would not make a difference really. So they didn't do it. They use that against them in the campaign and say, oh, because y'all didn't do it, y'all think we can do it. They are guts and they are belly. So we're doing it, right? No, it's a hot mess, right? Because it's continuous. You see the number of changes within a month to reconcile is not enough. The time is not enough, right? Because the time they used before, the 2 weeks before, when they started to organize around the 15th, that was the time used for that. Somebody might just a new job, somebody might be transferred, somebody might get promotion. A lot of different things happen within a month. And so that time was needed. They don't have that time now. So it's a continuous thing now, right? So the cycle got messed up, really. People are being short paid, overpaid, underpaid, everything. And you don't have the time to reconcile so that you can make it better for the next month. And so it gets only worse because the next month have their own issue, right? You can't settle or adjust the issues that occurs during the month. The ministry is forever in preparation mode, so to speak, to get the job done competently. They have no time, they have no room, they have no space, right? They need added staff. Or as you said, Minister, digitalize. But y'all didn't do that. No, y'all coming forward with it, and no matter what happened, we're going over the precipice. But you're not pulling back, and you're not going to say we made a mistake. Let's start over. Let's go back, or let's start over. No, not the Bright Boys. You mad? The Bright Boys? No, man. The Bright Boys get everything right. Is that so? Can we say that? I cannot put my finger on anything that the NDC has done totally proper. Yes, there are some things they do, and it was a good try. It was a good try. And there must be a but, because they turn around and do something to mess it up. To mess it up. The thing is, though, the expectation of this bi-weekly payment, it did not materialize. It did not materialize. And so we have a big problem now on our hands. We have a big problem now on our hands. And I don't know. As I said, we're going over the precipice head first. Head first. And there's no turning back, because we're too bright. We're too bright to say, we made a mistake, it's not working out. In a release put out by the Public Workers Union, the PWU, dated February 14, 2024, it captioned, and it's up on the screen there for your benefit. I'm not going to read out the entire thing, but I'll do snippets of it. And the caption was, non-application of wage increase and late payment of wages in sectors of the public service. The union stated that a 4-member delegation led by the president, Mr. Brian Grimes, was put together to investigate the matter. The union listed 4 main issues, among others, of concern that concerns them and their workers. 1, continuous late payment of salaries for some workers. 2, non-application of salary increase for 2023 and 2024 for some workers. Now this one, according to the saying, I'm flabbergasted, big word, because you pass laws. You decide you're going to bully the private sector into the increase for low-income workers. And I'll be the first to say here, right away, off the bat, I have no problem with the increase in minimum wage or wages, but baby steps. Again, we do not have the cash flow. I can speak about that. I am a small business owner. We do not have the cash flow. So if you're not making money, you can't spend money. You can't give out money, right? There's nothing different happening that happened over the past 19 months that can warrant 100%, 110%, 120%, maybe in some cases 200% raise in pay, not because all it take it a whole double salary off the bat, that there's that money out there. We're not making that. We don't know where all get it to take, but we're not making that kind of money. So what's going to happen? People are going to lose their jobs. I maintain half a loaf is better than none. I know of a company that had 3 workers. They kept 1, gave them the increase, and the other 2, they'd call them in daily if need be, and just pay them and let them go. I also know of a company that sent home already 14 workers. Y'all ain't checking on that. 14. And they only told me there might be as much as 30 eventually, because they cannot afford to pay the increase, right? The 100% increase in some cases, right? You cannot pay it for whatever reason. You have minimum wage workers who have not received that $1,200 y'all speak about. The cooks, and we come into them. We are coming to that in a bit, right? And so, yeah, we have the union complaining about it. 3, no retroactive short payment for the 2023 period for some workers. And 4, the $1,000 honorarium to doctors not being applied. So we try to bribe the doctors, as we did the nurses, with $1,000, and they have not received it. Now we have doctors falling out on the wards. That as well. The union views those issues, and I'm quoting here, as serious as loan obligations and daily obligations are hinged on timely payment of salaries and application of increases to mitigate against high costs of living. Now, the full release of the union is up on the screen for your benefit, so you can read the entire thing. This is cause for concern. As I said, if the government passed legislation increasing minimum wage 100%, 110, 120, and they can't implement it themselves, then we're in trouble. Then we're in big trouble. I know we're in trouble, but we're in more trouble. Threatening the private sector with big fines, huge fines, and jail time. And you yourselves can't implement as you should. I have no problem with wage increase, because we all know cost of living has increased. These days, NIS increased. We have VAT on water increase, electricity increase, gas going up, gas price, fuel going up. I mean, everything is up and up and up and up. Oh, that's what they mean when they talk about up, up, up. Cost of living and everything. Oh, up, up, up. Now I understand the up, up, up. I was trying to figure out what this up, up, up is all about. Oh, well, I was a little bit slow there. As I said before, I'm all for it. But as I say again, baby steps. Baby steps. Let's hear what the Minister of Finance said when he offered the doctors the $1,000.
Mr. Speaker, while government continues to diligently tackle the long-term HR challenges, the Cabinet has agreed to extend the honorarium of $500 per month for the nurses for a further 12 months, effective January 2020, and to provide an honorarium of $1,000 per month to doctors for the same period. A sum of $4.2 million has been allocated for this purpose.
4.2 million. 4.2 million allocation. And so where is it? Why haven't the doctors received that monies? And as I'm on doctors, you know, I'm going to talk about it a little bit here. There was a release going out, I don't know what you call it, something, a flyer, I don't know, going out with naming some doctors and asking the pharmacies not to honor any prescription from these doctors because they didn't pay some fee, something. Now there are ways to do everything, you know? And if a doctor can practice, allowed to practice, and write a prescription, who is the person who's suffering when you tell the pharmacy not to accept a prescription from that doctor? Because you see, the doctor don't collect their money already from the patient, right? They collect their money. And this patient have this prescription in their hand now, and they go to the pharmacy to get their medication, and you telling the pharmacy, don't accept the prescription. That makes sense? Tell me if that makes sense. The ordinary man suffering again because they can't get their prescription filled. And this is not how you do things like that. Oh God, all you think before you act now. Is the ordinary man suffering again Never mind my business and move on. That's by the way. That's by the way. And so the PWU, they have their list. And what's the Mr. Grimes, you left out a couple. You left out the Imani $500 that now has to be adjusted because they found out, by the way, after they paid the first $500 to the Imani across the board, they found out that it can't work. And that some Imani ended up getting monies almost more than some senior public servants with the 500 plus the increase, the wage increase for the minimum wage and all whatever else, because some of them get transportation allowance and all of that. So they find out, by the way, so they say they have administrative issues, right? So that's one. And so the cooks, Mr. Grimes, the cooks who they have not received that minimum wage increase. They've been working for $800, some of them, and 19 years, 20 years, 15 years. They are permanent. Let me say this. So the one here, they might be contract workers and the contract, they are permanent workers, the ones I spoke to. Permanent workers. And they've been getting $800, and they're still getting $800. They have not received no increase in wages. NIS went up since the last year, year and a half, 18 months. NIS went up, contributions increased, cost of living increased, water rate increased, light bill increased. They're saying that since the mention of free school feeding program in the schools that was mentioned in the budget, their workload increased. Some of them is only one, some two cooks in an entire school. One lady told me she's cooking for 200. Well, she was cooking for 200. Now it's increased because it's free, and even some people who probably used to come with their lunch also, they decide they want free lunch too. So she's cooking for a lot more now. Their labor increase, but their monies remain the same. But as I said, we'll come to the cooks separately. I want to ask this. You guys still think it was necessary to spend millions of dollars, overall $22.5 million on the celebration? It came and went. The drones, that was over $1 million. Nobody's speaking about the drones anymore. We saw it. If we didn't see it, we would not have known drones could do those things. Maybe some people know, some who know, and who didn't know would not have known, right? If you have the money, you do it, right? I can go and buy a pair of shoes for $700 or $1,000. There are those who can do it, like our dear Prime Minister. Right? Can buy a pair of slippers for, I don't know what's the real price. Some people say, I see as much as $2,400, the NDC people boasting on in social media. But if you don't have it, you can't do it. If you have it, you can. And all indication shows that we don't have that kind of money to spend. Well, when it comes to the ordinary man and the poor and the vulnerable, it shows that we don't have that kind of money. We scheme on giving back the $150 we took. We give $50 back, but we only give it back to the mentally ill, over 60, and I think disability, right? We couldn't give it back across the board, the $50, right? And we can't afford to give the low-income houses to the low-income earners because some of them don't pay back. I don't pay well. While we have the minister, we give almost $3 million in GDP, not paying back his loan. Huh? He's not paying back his loan, but it's okay for us. That's okay. He's the minister. He's the minister of MIT that this government seems to can't do without. That's when I know we're in trouble. That's when I know we're in big trouble. And they say he's their best minister. When I hear that, a ball. Remember going to a ball when I hear that. Mm-hmm. So we spend that kind of money. The lights on the coronation thing, I'm sure it's over $1 million as well. I'm watching to see whether it's temporary or permanent. I pray God it's not permanent, but to think we spend that kind of money temporarily is something else. But oh God, take it out. It's defacing the coronation. We need to be able to drive along the coronation and just see the lovely ocean, the view that we used to see before. The ones down by Food Fair almost touching by Hubbard's, touching the Hubbard's wall. It was good just as it was by the plaza, that little area there, for the little short time. But no, some people say, ooh, the lights look pretty. And all they get ideas and light the coronage and turn it into an eyesore. Did you see the string of lights, the red, green, and gold? And the nutmeg chandelier that was there? Beautiful. There's something called less is more. And you put that in your head. Keep it there. Less is more. And that string of red, green, and gold lights that lit up sometimes during the night, and with the nutmeg chandelier, classy, classic. It looked lovely. It looked lovely. So I'm asking the question, if you still believe that $22.5 million was necessary to spend when we having our birth from our doctors in the hospital, when he asked to give one of his patients antibiotics, and there was none. He couldn't help it. He flew up, a big outburst. And that same patient who is a diabetic couldn't get her special meals that is supposed to be given to diabetics. You know what he did? He discharged her. She can buy the antibiotics in a pharmacy, and of course she'd be able to feed herself properly at home, which I'm sure she was doing before. But in the hospital, there were no special meals for at least diabetics. He sent her home. We do not have basic medication in our hospitals and our clinics. Was it necessary? Was it necessary? Are we going to eat the drones? Are we going to speak about the drones for the rest of our lives? Are we going to eat the drones? Are we going to use the drones as medication? That was not necessary. I agree that we needed to have, it was 50, it could be only once. We need to have a big celebration. You guys mess up the celebration. The Open Up concert, what is Up From Here concert? It went flat as a pancake. You knew nothing about it. Only shame, only even talking about it because all you know. It was a mess, a hot mess. Among other things. The only thing I could boast about is the drones. And the bus and the people that was in the stadium. Bus loads were brought in. Now and I'll leave that for the end. I have questions for Ms. Person today. More questions. So I'll leave that to Ms. Person. Never mind that the drone show was magical. It was magical. Never mind. That's what matters most to you guys. Who dead. All you don't care. People going into the hospital from anything and dead, coming out in body bags. Y'all don't care that our school children are now eating bread and sausage for lunch in some instances, a porridge. What happened to the diet that we want to introduce? Eat what we grow and grow what we eat to our kids from that level. What happened to that? What happened to prevention? We're trying to prevent the disease. We have young kids that are diabetic and hypertensive. I was shocked to see, I glimpsed at that announcement last night. 22-year-old, 31-year-old, 30, 54, 40, 21. That age group. I don't know why they died. I mean, I don't know what is the cause, but it wasn't fatal accidents. So it had to be some illness, right? What happened to prevention? We're trying to prevent the non-communicable diseases like diabetes and hypertension and those. But our children are now eating rice and chicken, whatever, with no vegetables and so on at the schools. But we have in the drone show. We do not care. People are dying while drone flying and forming figurines and things in the sky. Our people were dying in the general hospital. Babies and their moms, both. In some cases, mother died, baby lived, mother died. In some cases, both were dying at our general hospital. Something is brutally wrong with this system. And it don't look like it could fix this time around. Like we dabble in, down we going. Down we going. We have gone to hell in a handbasket. We take a quick break and come right back.
Thank you for tuning in to Simon Says. To ensure that you never miss an episode, click subscribe and make sure to turn on the notifications by clicking on the notification bell icon. See you at the next episode.
I want to start off by playing a clip of the Minister of Finance in his 2024 budget reading concerning the free school feeding program.
Free school meals. We'll remove the requirement for our school children to pay $1 for the primary school meal in the primary schools and $3 in secondary school to ensure that our school children are guaranteed a nutritious and healthy meal while in school. Mr. Speaker, this initiative will save parents an estimated $2.7 million on top of the $3 million saved on tuition fees.
So we're talking healthy and nutritious meals. Those were his words. You see there, they have milk. I think I saw cereal, a sandwich with lettuce peeping out of it, a fruit, it was an orange. Because some students get free breakfast at school as well. Huh? Some kids go to school without breakfast. Their parents, of course, can't afford to give them breakfast. And so they get free breakfast at school. And they have a little sausage there. And, oh, that looks good. That looked really good. That looked really good. And so the parents were asked to give $1 towards the school feeding program. I understand teachers. Some teachers paid $5 and had a meal on the day as well. We removed that because it sounds good to see free school feeding program. And the $1, as I understand it, 25 cents, I was told, went back to the government. And the 75 cents were kept there. So when they need backup stuff, if you need a block of golden ray butter, you ain't waiting till the end of the month when all the grocery come in. You're gonna run down the road and buy a block of golden ray butter. So you have that access to those funds for that reason. And it happened a lot, as I understand it before, where food ran out. I also was told that, and I spoke to principals and teachers and people who, the cooks. I didn't deal with politicians. I spoke to people like that who could give me the hard fact that just before, maybe within the year before the elections, the program was revamped because it had its issues, it had its fault. It had sometimes when there was shortage, not enough food for the month. And so they revamped it, they got nutritionists on board, and it was flowing smoothly. As a matter of fact, I understand that they were back up. Too much food in the system. And they got vegetables and meat and, enough food to feed the children. Lots of people were happy with the system, with this food that the kids got, a nice warm meal. Because if you give your child food from home in a container or even in a flask, sometimes I don't think the flask ran in them. These children these days not holding that flask they used to make us hold it. One time mine get away to a long market till I leave it right there and I go home. I get licks, of course, but I wasn't picking up that flask. That wasn't mine. So a nice warm meal, a hot meal at lunch, good for the kids, good for the kids. So the various schools, they had their program going. Up comes NDC and they say free school feeding program. The cooks are complaining that they have not received the minimum wage increase to start with. So as I mentioned earlier, I did get calls from some of the cooks. I got messages in my inbox. I decided to investigate. I spoke to some principals, I spoke to teachers and people that are familiar with the system and what's going on with this free school feeding program. And this particular cook that I spoke to, and she was willing to sit down and give me blow by blow as the whole thing, as to what is going on with them. And she's worked for 19 years. She's permanent. She's a permanent worker. And right now, she's the only cook in the school that she cooks for. And the workload, she said she used to cook for 200 students. Now it's going up onto almost 3 because it's free and everybody, but there's not enough food to feed the children. She complained about they're not getting the increase. And of course, as I said earlier on in the program, everything else has increased, right? She said NIS, they're paying union fees. And she said to me that they have no support from the union. They went to the union and the union leader told them, leave them people alone. Don't go and bother them people. Meaning, because she said she did try to meet with the Minister of Education. He refused meeting with her, and nobody's listening. And her union leader, this is where we are in Grenada today, her union leader, that she's paying her dues to, said to her, don't bother, go and bother the people. Right? No, that's a whole next expose. So I'll have to do that part of it, the union part of it, in another episode. You wouldn't believe the story. And that's Gary Union. I don't know what it means. I don't know the real, but the Gary Union, Maritime and something. I don't know. So she said to me that the food comes less, a lot less, like almost half. And they don't have the money, any money to replace during the month. So now with an influx of students in the program, she said even the cups and the plates, they don't have enough. So they have to stop and wash to feed more kids. And this says a lot, right? When you have a program like that and it's flooded, right? The dollar, in my opinion, gives a little bit of responsibility as well to the parents. You know, it's not about everything being free. You don't know what, and I see something wrong with it because they talk about, oh, they never with this poor and vulnerable thing, da 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 da. But to show off, they want to say they're giving free food across the board, free food to everybody, like the free tuition to everybody. When it's not, everybody don't need free tuition and everybody don't need free food, right? So, but it's all about showing off, icing on top cardboard. You know, you have 15 cakes and one is a cake and the rest is icing. That's when you can't afford to. They were never consulted, the cooks, the principals in the schools, the teachers. They were never consulted by the ministry. Nobody spoke to them. Nobody told them it's going to happen. They heard it when we heard it in the parliament, in the budget reading. And to date, really, they were never consulted, except quite recently, sometime earlier on in this week. The letter was dated the 16th of February. And this letter, and signed by the Chief Education Officer, Mr. Dominic Jeremiah, who was the former principal of the Presentation Brothers College and recently was hired in the position of Chief Education Officer in the Ministry of Education, a mere eve, you can say, probably, let's say eve of the eve before he retires, you know? But I understand he's a transformer, so anything goes with the transformers and the nation builders. So this letter was sent to the schools, and this one I am going to read to you. Let me get my glasses. And it's the government of Grenada, Chief Education Officer, Ministry of Education, and the date is February 16, 2024. Subject, school feeding program. The Ministry of Education hereby informs all principals operating within the school feeding program of recent pronouncements made in the last budget reading. In the last budget, but it looked like I need two glasses. Regarding this initiative, as per these announcements, students are entitled to access the school feeding program free of charge, ensuring that students have access to nutritious meals without any financial burden is a crucial aspect of the ministry's commitment to their well-being and academic success. Now, before, when they paid the dollar, and I mean, a dollar is not a financial burden. Come on. And before they paid the dollar, they were getting a more nutritious meal than now. We're gonna come to the list, you know, the grocery list just now. right? Any barriers, such as the collection of fees for the school feeding program, contradict this objective. So they make sure they tell them they're not to collect no money for the program. Therefore, the ministry urges each principal overseeing the school feeding program to promptly communicate this directive to the staff and ensure strict compliance. Papayo. Should there be any concerns or challenges in implementing this change, please do not hesitate to reach out to the Student Support Service Unit for support and guidance. Thank you for your attention to this matter and your dedication to the welfare of our students, signed by Mr. Dominic Jeremiah, Chief Education Officer, AG. Now, as you see, I put the letter up there for you. You can read it yourself and digest. Ensuring that students have access to nutritious meals without any financial burden. I like that part. It's a crucial aspect of the ministry's commitment to their well-being and academic success. And the rest of it, you know. $1 contribution, a financial burden. They termed it as $1. Yes, I know that there probably are parents, and probably there are parents who probably cannot give the $1 a day towards the program. But as I was told by the principals and so, these children did not stay hungry. They were fed no matter what. The children who couldn't afford to pay the $1 every day, they did not stay in school on empty stomachs. They were fed. They were fed. So there was also a $2,000 subsidy. The government subsidized the schools with a $2,000 each month, which was also used as a backup. And as I said before, I also learned that 25 cents out of every dollar went to back to the government of Grenada. Some teachers contributed towards the lunch, the $5, and they were also part of the program. They got lunch. During the reign of the former administration, I also learned then that the program was tweaked and was running smoothly. They got their nutritious meals, the kids, and everything was going nicely before the NDC interfered with it. And now all hell break loose. There has been a I was told here, there has been a significant drop in supplies to the program since July 2022. Principals and cooks alike are very unhappy with how the program is being facilitated at the moment. They can't afford to give children a balanced meal every day. Some days, to give them a balanced meal every day, sorry. Some days, no meat. Some days, bread and sausage. One principal expressed sadness when they didn't have meat to give the kids and couldn't afford to purchase from the truck when it passed either. Here's what the list looked like today per month. 25 pounds of brown sugar, 10 pounds split peas, 3 barbecue sauce, 10 pound dried peas, 3 mayonnaise, 12 packets of spaghetti, 12 pack of macaroni, 10 pack 10 pounds lentil peas. I think it was 10 pounds green peas and 10 pounds split peas. 7 boxes of chicken. It could be as much as 10 sometimes, so anywhere from 4 to 10 boxes of chicken. That this person here was giving me what they got 7, but she also said to me that you can get anywhere from 4 to 10 boxes sometimes. 50 pounds of fish, 6 pounds of counter flour, 1 box of coconut powder, 3 packs of garlic, 50 pounds of rice, 1 gallon of oil. No milk, no vegetables, no fruit. And I ask again, no milk, no vegetables, no fruit. Right? Folks, there's a total breakdown between the Ministry of Education and our schools. And who want to hide it could hide it. There might be some principals who are transformers and hiding it. But I'm telling you now, there are those who are transformers and who are fed and are speaking out. Right? There is a total breakdown. The ministry, the chief education officer finally met with the principals on Monday, just on Monday the 19th, the first time for the new term. The term is almost getting ready to end. Easter is almost here, right? First time on Monday the 19th. And with the officer responsible for the school feeding program in the ministry. They met, the principals were happy to have to meet because they had a lot of questions, especially concerning the school feeding program and probably suggestions as well. But their questions were not being answered. And after a while, I understand, well, I was told from the meeting when the chief education officer realized that this is not happening. He then told the principals to put their questions on a piece of paper, write their question down and submit it to them. And they would be answered in a later on. So in other words, figuratively speaking, the questions went in a hat and it went off. So the meeting ended with the teachers, the principals, not getting answers to their questions as yet. So they await their answers, I guess, God knows when, right? You in a meeting, you left the meeting without answering the questions. They've been waiting for all this time to meet with the ministry. And then they were told, submit your question on paper. Submit your questions on paper. This is where we are today. But we have arrogance and ignorance, as if that was one of, or those two were criteria to get in as a candidate for the election with the NDC. Is who could be more arrogant. Now I would leave this here because I have to follow up on this. This is a serious thing because we speak of putting education first and education will take us out of poverty. These things sound nice when we say they're sexy, you know. But we have a problem with this administration not putting their money where their mouth is. Instead, well, it's full with their feet. So I guess there's no space for the money. Not doing what they say they would, but nice things comes out of them. Nice things. When you listen, and I could understand how a lot of people got caught up with the Deacon Mitchell NDC thing, you know, because I'm telling you, nice things were said. So as I follow up, I would bring to you the people, what's going on? What's the going on, right? Folks, we quickly running out of time and we have a little bit of updates in the back here to catch up with. We're going to deal with Mr. Ron Redhead, and I want to play a couple of clips back to back with him on the To The Point program.
Stuff going to be completed or not? Or you know,
stuff is currently incomplete.
Because the last time we talked, you were saying it was supposed. I heard you say we're going to finish in January. We are in the month of February now.
Right. Yeah.
You know,
that's correct.
You know,
well, the last time we spoke, actually, I said that it was in the hands of the authorities. I think at Parliament, I did say that it was going to resume. So what I resume in January, my expectation was that would have been knocked off before the independence.
Okay.
But what I would say is that the bus stop is still incomplete, and we're in the process of trying to make sure that everything is okay before we proceed. And by everything is okay, it involves engagement of anybody who would have any major concern. Now, at the same time, as MP, my primary focus is the overall development of the constituency, and to the extent that development may inhibit anybody rights, whether perceived or real, it is my prerogative primarily to first and foremost discuss this in an amicable environment and be able to find a solution, which I have always done. This is the only instance since coming into office that I have ever intervened in and had this sort of public back and forth. Every other issue that has been handled by my office and myself has been done in the best interest for the Northeast. And I can say confidently, wherever we were doing roads, drains, and it encroached, the people were almost glad to give because we engage them respectfully, peacefully. That is how we operate. Right. And so I am looking for that to be in the same vein. I wouldn't give a timeline in this instance because like with everything, you're dealing with other people's time. So I can't comment for everybody, but we're hoping to find a solution and to peacefully resolve whatever issues that exist.
If I may ask this particular question, are there any legal matters surrounding this monkey bus shed right now? Are there any legal matters surrounding that?
Well, not with me. I could say I didn't build the bus shed, nor did I remove the fence. It is in the hands of the authorities, so you would have to ask planning development about any legal matters. But I don't have anything pending.
All right, understandably so.
Planning gone under the bus, you realize. Planning under the bus. Ron, somebody pass a hand on you. Nah, man. We know you didn't physically build the bus stop or physically take down the fence, but you are responsible for that. You are responsible. Lest we forget, look at this video.
So far, we have started the construction of the bus shed and was unilaterally stopped by individuals purporting to be of the estate of an owner. For my own reasons, I am not engaging in calling anyone because I have no documentation to suggest that any individual who have done this work owns the property. Mm-hmm. But in any event, as Member of Parliament, I am totally offended by this unilateral attempt by private individuals to not see the bigger picture and allow the public interest to proceed. In fact, this heckling and unwarranted attempt to fence a strip of property which cannot be used for anything outside of a bus shed is, I am a bit baffled by it. And therefore, I'm saying the only solution now is to have that fence removed. And second, is for the individuals purporting to ownership of the property to come to the table and discuss. The method that is being used is simply a bully tactic, one which we will not accept. And I am calling on the family representatives who is purporting to be the owners of the property to do what is just in the interests of the public and that community, Monge. Monge Terry is a peaceful village and has always been known for its peace and tranquility. We don't get involved in this kind of behavior, and therefore disputes with land and all these other things are something that we believe should be handled through the legal channels. And if there is any indication that this belongs to private owners, the government of the day is prepared to acquire the property in the public interest. This was Broken Road, which fell into the river, and was reclaimed by the government of Grenada, the previous administration, and we are merely just completing the project to construct the bus shed. And so I am totally offended by this attempt to stop the building of the bus shed, and I call on the individuals involved to cease, and you do the right thing and come to the table. As I said, this matter has been taken to the legal route, to Ministry of Lands and the Planning Authority, and will be dealt with in the coming days.
They were merely completing the project to build the bus shed. But the bus shed is already on the project, on the land as we speak. You know, I wouldn't waste much time with Ron. We running out of time, and I have some questions to ask at the end. But I put the clips. You guys could look at it, try to cipher exactly what the former minister is saying. What I have to tell you, though, is that to the point, Ron was to the point on the 14th of February. That interview was on the 14th of February. Ron was served on the 8th of February by the owners of the land. He was served. And so when he said, we don't know anything about legal thing, maybe it's the Ministry of Planning that he put on the bus. It was Ron. Ron was served, and I'll keep you up to date as to what happens there. To date, no one from the government, not the Prime Minister, who is the Minister of Infrastructure, no one from the government of Grenada has spoken to, had conversation with the owners of the property that the government of Grenada encroached on, went on, took over without any legal thing, any legal paper, anything happening. They did not acquire the land legally, the government of Grenada, and no one spoke to them, apologized for Ron and what he did, and up to today, no one. And I just want to let the people know that this is what's going on with the power thing got to them, right? So I have a few more questions for Ms. Purcell. Now, for those of you who may not have seen last week's episode, there was a press conference by members of the National Organizing Committee, and of course, with the press conference come questions. Questions were put to the committee concerning contracts given out for the celebrations, and Mrs. Purcell, Gail Purcell, took that question and she couldn't answer it. She said she didn't have that information. It was a lot of contracts, and basically she don't have any information on the spending, how much money spent, who the contracts, and the contracts awarded. And I had some questions to Ms. Purcell then concerning persons that that I was told were contracted, her company, Mr. Romain's company, their brother, sister-in-law, the family affair. I now have another question. I mean, it came into me, and I was told, so I have to ask Ms. Purcell, did her husband get the contract for the boxes? You know the boxes, the VVIP and the VIP boxes where the Prime Minister and the delegates and so were sitting in? Is it true, Ms. Purcell, that your husband was contracted to build these boxes? We have carpenters in Grenada to kill, to burn. Ordinary little man who would be glad for that little opportunity to build a box. Is it true, Ms. Purcell, that your husband was contracted to build these boxes? I also have a question for Ms. Purcell concerning contracts given out. Ms. Purcell, why is it that persons were asked to address invoices to individual names and not the Secretariat or the NOC, or maybe even the government of Grenada, creative desk, I don't know. But individuals were telling persons that were contracted to write their invoices to them, address the invoices to them personally. The buses that took people to the stadium, Ms. Person, who have the information on these buses? Who track whether the buses ran or not? How many trips they made back and forth? Because I understand a lot of them made one trip down and they did not return. And most of them made one trip. Who are tracking that? Because my understanding is that busmen are collecting monies. I'm happy for them if they're getting monies, a lot of monies, but not dishonest money, not money they didn't work for. And that they are collecting money because the money is there to play with. And we don't have the antibiotics in the hospital. And they're collecting money for trips they did not make. But there is no accountability. There's no accountability. So we would like some answers. Is this a direct result of nation builders and the removal of bureaucracy, Ms. President? I have a few more questions on the outside. And you see me who vex. I'm sorry, no holds barred on Simon said. No holds barred. In the Caliste area, just across from the age home, I was told, and I went to see for myself, there's an empty space there where the Minister of MIT is who I was told is the one that's been there, just come around in the South constituency, materials being stockpiled. We have gravels and sand, the huge bags. I was told it could be as much millions of dollars are sitting there now. There's a shed where the cement is stored. So we have sand, gravel, and cement. The people in the vicinity said the trucks come at night because it's a residential area, really. And people are just kind of wondering, what is that about? What are these, where they go, the material, what it's for? And I saw it myself. You'll be amazed. You can go and peep. I went and peep. There's nobody there for me to ask a question to. But I'm just putting that question up because I was called by residents of that area and I went to see. The road is still very bad. During the campaign, I saw it myself. There was a town hall in the Trade Center and a gentleman got up and spoke about the road and how terrible it was. And the ICT man, the MIT man, he wasn't minister yet because it was during the campaign. No, actually it was immediately after the election. And he promised to fix the road. He said that wasn't a making. 19 months later, the road is worse. So I will stop here today because I am really running out of time. And we'll continue this next week, same time, same place. Folks, that's a wrap on Simon Says for today. It was wonderful, as usual, conversing with you, keeping them honest. Thank you for joining us on Simon Says, where facts come first. See you next week, same time, same place. Have a great week. Bye.
Thank you for tuning in to Simon Says. To ensure that you never miss an episode, click subscribe and make sure to turn on the notifications by clicking on the notification bell icon. See you at the next episode.